You are Locked On Warriors Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And without their superstar, Stephen Curry, the Golden State Warriors could not overcome the Western Conference's top team, falling to the Oklahoma City Thunder 105-101 at Chase Center. Andrew Wiggins had a great look with just seconds remaining on the clock, but couldn't sink the tough reverse layup over Lou Dort to force overtime. Jonathan Kuminga stepped up on both ends of the floor tonight in his return from missing the prior two contests, but the offense as a whole completely gassed out in the fourth quarter without Steph as they went nearly 8 minutes without a field goal. The Dubs have now lost a season-high 3 consecutive games, but is it time to sound the alarm or not? We'll break it all down, but first I want to thank you all for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage as your second listen. Charlie Walter does a great job on the Daily Show. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhoodgold.com or robinhood.com/gold. Excuse me, Robinhood Gold. Robinhood.com/gold. Robinhood.com/gold. Again, so quarter one, the Warriors come out just chucking up threes and nothing has fallen for them. The Thunder getting everything they want. Just a barn burner of a first quarter for OKC. They pour in 39 points and the Warriors only get in 23 of their own. It was a flat start for this offense without Steph Curry. The starting unit without Steph went with Brandon Podziemski to go fill that role. Lindy Waters, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga sneaks into the starting lineup, and Draymond Green. So no TJD without Chet Holmgren in there for the OKC Thunder, but they did have Isaiah Hartenstein in today, which they did not have in the last meeting between these two teams. And it was interesting to see Steve Kerr go with the smaller lineup and just basically let the Thunder have that painted area with Hartenstein, and he really dominated in there. 31 minutes, 5 of 8 from the field, 14 boards and 2 blocks for the big man. They did get him in some foul trouble late in the third quarter, and credit Hartenstein. He was able to play through that foul trouble without picking up that 6th foul. He was able to play with 5 fouls for a while, and he did a good job navigating that. The Warriors started to go away from some things that they were finding success from when Jonathan Kuminga really helped propel this team points-wise. I mean, he wasn't the most efficient tonight. 8 of 21, 3 of 10 from the field, and that with Buddy Hield as well. Buddy Hield, 5 of 8 from the field. Every shot he took from the field was a 3. 5 of 8 from 3-point range as well. Buddy 17 points tonight and made 5 threes. So he really helped keep the Warriors in this one. He was pretty much the only guy hitting anything from downtown for the Warriors. Kuminga hit a 3 of 10 from 3. So, there was a lot of shots going up and not a lot of them falling. Andrew Wiggins did not play up to what he's been doing this season. Only 16 points for Wiggs on 16 shots. So that's not the most efficient night in the world. And one of the things that Wiggins has been so good at lately with the Warriors is he has been efficient. And in that last possession, he had a chance to atone for all those missed shots. Draymond fed him with the perfect entry pass that gave Wiggins a clear lane along the baseline to attempt the reverse layup to send it to overtime. He had Lou Dort on him, and Lou Dort is one of the toughest defenders in the NBA, and he made that shot really hard for Andrew Wiggins. He could have taken an extra gather step. He didn't need to rush it the way he did, but he rushed that shot a little bit, and it just didn't fall. It wasn't super close. It didn't look like it really even caught iron on that reverse layup, but it was a good look nonetheless. He just rushed the shot and did not get a very good attempt off, and the Warriors end up falling foul on the next possession, and so on and so on. The game ends with the Thunder hitting free throws. But Wiggins was also the reason late in this game, partially, that the Warriors were even able to get back in this one. He had a late 3 with the Warriors trailing, and it seemed like that one was over, but that late 3 really gave the Warriors that one last shot, and then Shea uncharacteristically misses a free throw with about 7 seconds left. The Warriors had that last possession struggled to get the ball inbounds a little bit, went with Kyle Anderson as the inbounder, and it ended up not working out for the Warriors. But hey, I think this was a really good sign that they were able to keep pace with the OKC Thunder, the top team in the West. And yes, I do know that they were missing Chet Holmgren, and also Jalen Williams exited this game after he got poked in the eye, and the Warriors really started to make their comeback after Jalen Williams exited this one. He was, really giving the Warriors fits while he was in there tonight. For Williams, he had 13 points in 16 minutes on only 6 shots. So, he was really getting after it. 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. So he was all over the court for the Thunder. Playing just, he's played so well in the absence of Chet Holmgren, just really giving him an opportunity to step up as the number 2 to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and shine, and he has done a great job. And when he went out, the Thunder were really looking for a number 2 to step up. Isaiah Joe did a decent job. He's always been pretty good against these Warriors lately. 17 points for Isaiah Joe, and but Shai, man, 35 points for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 9 boards and 5 assists. He also had 2 blocks and a steal. He had 10 shots at the free throw line, uncharacteristically missed 4 of them. So the Warriors ended up getting a little bit of a gift from the Thunder at the free throw line, but Shai was just ultimately way too much for the Warriors to overcome. They really didn't have a whole lot of answers for him in this one. They did do a better job on him defensively in the second half. Jonathan Kuminga had a couple really good defensive possessions against him. Draymond really stepped up defensively. I thought even Pat Spencer was giving him some good defensive possessions. How about Pat Spencer having a little moment tonight? He picked up a technical after he got fouled pretty hard going driving the lane, and was upset about it going the other way, and was letting it kind of extend to his play on the court just a little bit too overzealous. Gets called for the technical, and you had half the Warriors bench, including Steph Curry and Draymond, at half court arguing on behalf of Pat Spencer, yelling at the official. And man, I felt like it was a little bit of the ref show tonight with the Draymond got a technical like immediately after, and it's just, this whole season has been a little bit of the ref show in the NBA. It's the officiating's been bad, and the technicals have been flying frequently and freely. So I don't think anybody really wants to see that from the fan perspective. So that hasn't been my favorite thing so far from this NBA season, but it was an interesting moment for sure to see Pat Spencer getting so competitive and so riled up. I love to see it from the guy who the former lacrosse product, the former won essentially the Heisman Trophy of the college lacrosse league, and when he was back in college. And look at this guy just giving the Warriors some good minutes off the bench tonight. He had 15 minutes, sank some shots too, 2 of 5 from the field, hit 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 3 assists for Pat Spencer, +9 plus minus. He had 6 points off the bench and filled in that backup point guard role for Brandon Podziemski. And I thought that he did a decent job. I thought he gave the Warriors a little bit of a lift, some energy. And it's just fun watching that guy play out there. He gives the Warriors 1,000% effort every time he's on the court. And it really fits into what this team is trying to do in the philosophy that they have of just sprinting, running the floor hard, both directions, and really getting after it in the painted area offensively, driving the lane, looking to get to the line, and playing hard-nosed defense. I thought that Pat Spencer's minutes were pretty solid. From a guy who is a two-way player and doesn't really ever get consistent minutes when he's up with the team, I thought he did a really good job stepping up into that role tonight. But ultimately, the Thunder were just too much for the Warriors without Steph. You went 8 minutes in that fourth quarter without a shot. Or without a field goal falling in. It was just a massive just series of bricks, really, by both teams. But the Warriors couldn't even really get to the line in that time. And it was a Buddy Hield, I believe it was a Buddy Hield 3. That was the last shot that they made of that fourth quarter before the Draymond Green dunk with about 19 seconds left. And there were about 8 minutes elapsed between those two. 8-14. Buddy made a three-pointer off a Kyle Anderson assist, and they gave the Warriors a 1-point lead, 94-93. But they didn't get another shot to go through the cylinder from the field until 19.1, and you only got a handful of free throws in the meantime. So it was 101-98 by the time the Warriors made their next shot from the field. So you obviously were missing Steph Curry here late in this one. They didn't have anyone that could just go get the shot when you just needed to get a shot, and that is something that we have talked about with this Warriors team before. Jonathan Kuminga seems like he could be that guy, to where he can be the one to, when Steph's out, go step up and get his own shot. He, I think, had a okay game tonight. He tried to step up. He took a lot of shots. He did take the onus on his shoulders, but it just wasn't quite there. This ended up being the worst shooting night for the Warriors from the field that they've had so far this season. They only shoot 32 or 35.7% from the field, 32% from three. So not very good for the Warriors without their, I mean, the best shooter in the world. Surprise! You're missing Steph Curry. Your shooting isn't as good. I think that is it's just going to happen. You know, this team is designed around Steph Curry. There are very few teams in the NBA, I feel, that are so heavily dependent on one single player at this point. I mean, you look around the NBA and even teams like the Bucks, you know, if you're missing Giannis, you still got Dame Lillard out there. But if the Warriors are missing Steph, it's really hard to figure out where the scoring is going to come from on a given night and who's going to be able to fill that void. They just don't have that number two, like, legitimate superstar. And Draymond Green fills in that void on the defensive end of the floor. No doubt about it. We saw that from Draymond tonight with his defensive intensity and diving on the floor for loose balls late in the fourth quarter in this one. And he really did, I mean, help shut down this OKC offense in that second half. The Warriors defense really put the clamps on, only gave up 43 points in that second half. And Draymond was a big reason why that defense turned it around. But I mean, it just wasn't enough shooting. I mean, you have Lindy Waters going 1 for 7 from the field. Wiggins going 4 for 16. It just wasn't good enough. Kuminga 8 for 21. Brandon Pajemski 4 for 10. There was nobody who really had a very efficient night except for Buddy Hield going 5 of 8 from 3. And Kyle Anderson went 4 of 8 from the floor. Anderson, slow-mo, had some pretty good minutes tonight. I thought that he had some really clutch buckets in this one when the Warriors really needed some shots to go down in the third quarter, early fourth quarter. Anderson was making those, and that was a good sign for this Warriors team. Again, everyone on this bench needs to contribute when Steph's out for this team to have a chance at winning. And Slow-Mo did his part. It just wasn't enough. Like I said, I think one other thing we can take away from tonight is I think this Lindy Waters honeymoon is over at this point. I mean, 1 for 7 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. He only took 3-point shots from the field, and none of them were falling. He did haul in 6 rebounds, but a -9 plus minus 3 fouls in this one and only 4 points. So Lindy Waters, I mean, I do like the intensity. It's a great story. I hope the guy bounces back from this, but I think we're starting to see a little bit of regression to the mean. What we expected to see from him is more like what we're seeing from him now. And I think that maybe giving him a spot in that starting role is, I think he has some numbered days in that starting lineup. So we'll see if the Warriors shake up the starting lineup in their next time out. They got to stop this skid. It's a 3-game losing streak at this point, and they got the Suns coming up next. So that's a really tough game in 3 days that they're going to have to play. And I mean, this schedule, we talked about it at the end of last show, is absolutely daunting for the Warriors coming up. You got the Suns next, and then you got Denver, then you got Houston, then you got Minnesota back-to-back. I mean, this is going to be a tough schedule for the Warriors coming around in the next week and a half. So, I mean, the losing streak could continue, and the Warriors got to find a way to stop it. Hopefully, Steph will be back for their next game against the Suns, and hopefully that he doesn't, miss too many games. But I think you'll live with a 4-point loss to the OKC Thunder when you're missing your superstar Stephen Curry, and the defense really gave you something to hang your hat on. And in Jonathan Kuminga, man, I thought that he gave the Warriors a solid lift, especially before he seemed to gas out kind of in the second half. And defensively, I really liked what I saw from Jonathan Kuminga defensively. Let's talk about that next on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Today's show is sponsored by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement bonus on IRA account contributions. With Robinhood Gold, they provide you the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Again, Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply for product-specific disclosures. Visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investment involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Today's show is also sponsored by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and tonight the Warriors fall 105-101 to the OKC Thunder at OKC or at Chase Center, and I thought it was a pretty valiant effort by this team without Stephen Curry. I mean, it was a tough go there in that fourth quarter, and that 8-minute stretch without a field goal was really tough to watch from the fan perspective for the Warriors, just chucking up shots and missing everything they were throwing up there. But hey, I mean, I really think that the Warriors showed something on defense again tonight, and that's the whole reason why they were even in this game. And also, conversely, the reason why they gassed out, I think, in that fourth quarter was they just didn't have their legs anymore. Those jumpers weren't falling. They looked flat, and they just weren't able to explode to the hole down the lane like they were earlier in this game. They used Jonathan Kuminga as a rim runner all the time. But late in this one, wasn't really able to do that. Even on the last possession of this game, I thought the Warriors were going to maybe use Jonathan Kuminga out in that five-man grouping to give them at least an opportunity to get one at the, get a cheap one of a cut at the rim. But they didn't go with him. They used Kyle Anderson as the inbounder. So going away from Jonathan Kuminga, who I thought was, and I've said this before, I think he's pretty much the only guy on this Warriors team who can consistently go get his own shot when Steph Curry is not out there. And I mean, one-on-one ISO ball, like go get a shot and make a bucket. Jonathan Kuminga is that guy. And while that's not really the Warriors offense, that's not what they scheme up. They're not, they love to assist. They love to pass the ball. They love moving without the ball. They very rarely have, guys standing around in the corners and one guy going to work at the top of the key ISO ball. But that's what you need sometimes in the NBA in those closing minutes. You absolutely draw up plays and try and get open shots, but sometimes you need a Jonathan Kuminga out there to just go get it. Just go one-on-one and beat the guy right in front of you. And also worth noting, in that last possession for the Warriors, nobody healed on the floor. He had fouled out in the prior possession where he after the Thunder inbound post Andrew Wiggins three-pointer that made this one, competitive at the end. Buddy Hield is the one who picked up the foul against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That was his 6th foul, and he fouled out of this one. And they really could have used him in that last possession. Without Buddy, you really didn't have a ton of shooters on the floor to space it with. And Wiggins still got a shot at the end anyways. But hey, like I said, I think that the Warriors defense really, really gave them an opportunity late in this one. But it's also the reason that their legs were so tired because they just weren't able to play this full game without Steph. I mean, you need Steph has so much gravity. He's able to do so much on offense that it pulls away from what everyone else is needing to contribute. You have guys that can not necessarily take plays off, but more or less take plays off when Steph's out on the court because he's going to go just get some buckets. And you don't have to necessarily have as much pressure defensively in those situations. You can afford to give up an extra bucket or two because Steph's going to get it back. And that's not that helps you defensively. That helps with your mindset. You're obviously not relying on these things. You're not banking on Steph to just go out there and win you the game. But it's the ultimate safety net. It's the ultimate, OS button. You know what I mean? Like the big red button when everything's going wrong that it bails everybody out. And that's what Steph is. He's the great equalizer. And the Warriors tonight, like I said, just so much effort on the defensive side of the ball that this offense really just didn't have anything at the end of the game in this one. I was taking a peek at the comments, and I saw Frankie say that it was a bad decision to take out Slow-Mo at the end there when he was on fire. Other players weren't able to hit shots during that period of time. I tend to agree, but when Steve Kerr did pull out Kyle Anderson there, Kyle Anderson looked a little tired himself too. It looked like he needed to, he looked a little bit gassed out too. I don't know that there was another option that the Warriors had to choose late in this one. I mean, they really tried a lot of different things, tried a lot of different looks, but when you don't hit a shot for 8 minutes and your momentum just grinds to an absolute screeching halt, feels like someone just pulled the e-brake on this team on that offense late in this one. And then you had Shea doing just enough. I mean, this one was so down to the wire. I mean, you really forced Shea to have a rough night from the field. I mean, 13 of 28 shooting. Yeah, he did have 35, but on 28 shots, that is not a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander type night. Only 3 of 12 from three-point shooting. You hold the Thunder to below 30% from three-point land, but at 45.9% from the field. It was just a little bit too much for the Warriors to overcome on their worst shooting night of the season. And again, you're going to end up shooting your worst shooting night of the season when you don't have Steph Curry in there for obvious reasons. Dude's the best shooter on the face of the planet, the best shooter that has ever walked on planet Earth. And obviously missing him is a big deal. It doesn't just hurt the Warriors from, what Steph gives you with just his scoring, but it also the gravity that Steph is able to draw. He frees up free runners to the rim. Like he frees up free cuts in the paint. He frees up other shooters around the perimeter. And without him, it really hampers a lot of what the Warriors try to do on offense. This team is so predicated on what he does that it's tough without him out there on the court. But the defense stepping up the way that it did tonight, especially in the second half, holding OKC to just 43 in the second half, I thought was a big deal. The way that the Warriors really, really, really held Shea. They held him down in that second half, and I thought that was very impressive from this Warriors team. It didn't go the way that they wanted it to go at the end of this one. It was just a little bit too much, and without Steph, just not enough offense to rally this team to come back. And I mean, the way that they even just managed to come back in this game, I thought was impressive, because the Warriors lately have been, giving up these big leads in the fourth quarter in the second half in games. And today they decided to be the ones to try and go snatch that lead back late. And it just, they gassed out right at the end, just didn't quite have enough in the fuel tank. And this is all the more reason why I think it shows that the Warriors need to lean on this super, super, super deep rotation that they have, this super deep bench. And man, I do got one guy though that I do want to see get some more minutes out there. And maybe tonight's not the best night to talk about it because he did not have a good night. But Moses Moody, man, 13 minutes tonight is not enough on a night where Steph Curry is not on the basketball floor. He did go 0 for 4 from the field. This was not a good shooting night for Moses Moody, 0 for 3 from three-point land. But Moses Moody is, I think you got to go with him. Like he has some nights where he's super hot and some nights where, he does what he did tonight. But more often than not, like Moody's been having a phenomenal season, especially shooting the three-point ball. And he's always been a very solid player. Like he doesn't make big mistakes out there on the court. He's a guy who isn't going to go lose you the game. And in some situations, you need that. I mean, you got Buddy Hield, who's kind of the opposite of that. He's, big time boomer bust, but sometimes Buddy Hield's going to lose you a game. He's going to be a little bit wild on the dribble. He's going to have some turnovers. And sometimes that can be a problem. And tonight for Buddy Hield, he had a couple turnovers off the bench, fouled out in this one. He did have also 5 of 8 from 3. So it's the dichotomy, right? And I don't think that you're going to insert Buddy Hield into the starting lineup. I think his scoring off the bench is too valuable to do that. But I would maybe like to see Moses Moody get a shot at the starting lineup over Lindy Waters going forward. I really would like to see. I'd like to see that. I think Moses gives you a little bit more on defense than Lindy does. And I think that he's earned it, really. And not just this season, but throughout his time with the Warriors, he has paid his dues more so than paid his dues in just being available in those spot minutes and those really inconsistent levels of playing time. But I think that it's time when Steph's out. I think Moses Moody has to be the guy that you look to next in this starting lineup. This one, I don't feel super bad about this loss. And it's not too often I say that on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Usually I'm pretty emotional with these Warriors, but I really do believe in this team, man. 12-6 with the loss, now 5-3 at home. But I still think that this team has shown us that they're able to hang with anybody in this league. Let's talk about that more on the other side. This Warriors schedule is so grueling coming up. Are they going to be able to hang tough with these opponents that they got coming down the pipe? Let's talk about that and more next on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Today's show is sponsored by BILT. With the seasons changing, I'm already dreaming of a warm weather getaway. I love using points for travel, and I'm always looking for ways to earn more to book my next flight. Here's a life hack for you. BILT lets you earn points on rent payments and redeem them towards flights, hotels, and a lot more. One of your biggest investments should get you more than just a roof over your head. Let me explain. There's no cost to join BILT, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent on your everyday spending. BILT points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world that you can redeem your BILT points toward. Points can also be redeemed towards a future rent payment and unique circumstances that only BILT members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. That's joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbilt.com/lockedonnba. Start earning points on your rent payments today. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Tonight, the Warriors fall without Steph 105-101 at Chase Center to the OKC Thunder. Just too much SGA at the end and not enough offense for the Warriors without Steph. Again, 8 minutes without the Warriors scoring a bucket in the fourth quarter from the field. I mean, it was tough. It was a lot of clanks, a lot of bricks, a lot of flat shots, a lot of tired legs. And I think that's just because this OKC team gave the Warriors the work. I mean, they're bigger than the Warriors with Hartenstein, and the Warriors went with an incredibly small lineup, barely played TJD at all tonight. So the Warriors having to fight against tougher bodies in the interior, having to try and keep pace offensively without their superstar Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter to ever walk the planet. And it was just too much, but they were able to hang tough with them and had a shot at in the final possession, essentially, to send this one to overtime. And to me, that speaks volumes to what this team does, to who they are as competitors. And yeah, they've lost 3 in a row now, but this one, they showed you some stuff on the defensive end. His defense is going to be good enough to keep the Warriors in games even without Stephen Curry, and that says a lot. I mean, they've now played several games without Steph early on in the season, which could pay dividends later in the year when the Warriors are inevitably, Curry's not going to be able to play all 82 games. He's already missed a few. I expect that he'll probably miss a few more before the season's over, and the Warriors are going to have to keep finding ways to win because this Western Conference is incredibly tight, and the difference between being in the playoffs and being in the play-in or being out of the postseason altogether could just be a handful of games, a handful of losses, and the Warriors are going to have to find a way to win those games without Steph. And tonight, it's a tough ask. You're playing the number 1 team in the NBA's Western Conference, which is head and shoulders above the East still. And I know OKC's missing Holmgren and they ended up missing Jalen Williams, but they are so deep. Every single player on that team can play both ends of the floor, and they are just an all-around solid team. And the Warriors didn't die. They got down early, and they got back up off the mat and kept punching. They didn't respond very well to the Brooklyn run in their last night out on Monday when Brooklyn went on that giant third quarter run and the Warriors just kind of laid down and died. They did not do that in this one. Granted, they had a lot more time to come back after falling down by a significant margin early on in the first quarter in this one, but I really like what we saw defensively, the never quit attitude, and that defense is going to keep them in games all season long. Next up is Phoenix. Like I said, you go to Phoenix and then you go to Denver. So this is a 2-game road trip coming up that's going to be tough. That's going to be really, really, really tough. That Denver game is a national game on TNT, by the way. And I think we're going to see what the Warriors are able to do defensively in those games as well. And I hope Steph is able to come back and make it in for some of those games so we can see the Warriors at full strength against some of this tougher competition. And it's going to be, I think the Warriors are going to show us that they're right there with the Thunder, or with the Phoenix Suns, with the Denver Nuggets, with the Oklahoma City Thunder, with the Houston Rockets, with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the Warriors are just as good as all of these teams when they have Steph Curry, when they have their full complement of players. This defense is the reason why. And we saw it tonight. Without Steph, the Warriors still giving themselves a puncher's chance against the Thunder, giving themselves a shot at the buzzer. Hey, if Andrew Wiggins ends up playing like he played the rest of this season, if Andrew Wiggins ends up going, 40, 50% from the field, the Warriors probably win this game. And that was the difference. That was enough of a difference in this one. They just needed Andrew Wiggins to be on when Steph wasn't there. They needed Kuminga to be a little bit more efficient. They just got a little bit more from any one guy on this team. If Buddy Hield doesn't foul out on that last play, maybe Buddy ends up with that last shot at the buzzer and the Warriors go home victorious. This one was that close where the margin of victory was just an absolute sliver. And that's a very good sign. When you're missing Steph Curry and you can still take the Oklahoma City down to the wire, I'll take it. You don't want to have a ton of moral victories throughout the season, but I think this is one of them that we can accept. I'll accept a moral victory in this circumstance. The Stephless Warriors taking the OKC Thunder down to the wire, falling ultimately 105-101, but show us a lot in the process. That's all the time that we got for you guys today. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. If you're enjoying some turkey tomorrow, I hope you guys have a great time hanging around with the family. If you're not, I hope you have a great day anyways, doing whatever it is you're going to spend your day doing. So no basketball tomorrow. Tons of football, though. Tons and tons of football. No Niners, but hey, we'll be locked in. I got a ton of Lions on the fantasy team, so I'll be watching that Lions offense all day. I love watching this Lions offense this year. And make sure you're checking out the Locked On 49ers postcast. They got the Lions coming up in a couple of weeks. That doesn't look very good for the 49ers right now. But hey, man, the Warriors are our last hope in the Bay Area sports lexicon. The Giants, I don't even want to talk about baseball right now and how the Dodgers are just destroying the fabric of Major League Baseball as a whole. I don't want to talk about Blake Snell at all. I hope he stubs his toe every day for the rest of his life. And the Warriors are our only hope for the Bay Area sporting lexicon right now. They got to stay good because they're the only thing that we are holding on to right now here in the Bay Area. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully the Warriors can get a win over the Suns next time and make me forget all about Blake Snell going to the Dodgers. But until then, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.